Pinoys on Parliament is the largest, the only national youth conference for Filipino Canadian youth, aged 16 to 30. Through Pinoys on Parliament, we're able to host workshops, panels, and provide a networking opportunity for delegates from all across Canada, even from our rural communities, to have a space where they're convening here in Ottawa. Pinoys on Parliament is truly where we're able to have conversations about having Pinoys in spaces such as Parliament, where predominantly they are not taken up by people who look like us. So in our work through Kabangka, we create programming that encompasses the barriers that exist for Filipino Canadian youth. One of them being representation. We often talk about it, right? How can I see myself in a space if there was no one else that looks like me in that space? So Pinoys on Parliament is a conference that brings leaders together to show youth that, you know what, they do exist in a variety of fields that we're not represented in. But it's one thing to have someone who you can now be inspired by. It's another to have someone actually guide you to be in that same space that they are. And so the mentorship program comes in. Sometimes we talk about racism where, it's a term that people say out loud. It's things that are very visible. But what we tackle at Kabangka are the more subtle forms of racism. That is the lack of representation, the lack of visibility, the lack of resources. And so through all of this work, through our mentorship program, through Pinoys on Parliament, we're able to support youth in their identity as Filipino Canadians. So I feel that our work at Kabangka will help shift policy in the broader sense. And what I mean by that is our community is so under-researched, and at the same time, it's so underrepresented in all levels of government. And that includes, municipal, provincial, and federal. And so when you don't have someone who is advocating for you, and then you don't have the research to back it up, it is hard for us to advocate ourselves. Now, with our work at Kabangka, we have been able to connect with academics, we've been able to connect with community research, and we are able to bring them into our national network so that we can then have advocacy that is data-informed. We are able to have more research that is based on our community and then in turn influence how policies are created which impact Filipino Canadians across the country. Our work at Kabangka with Pinoys on Parliament, our conference, has impacted over 2,000 delegates. When we talk about it in a way that's bigger, how have we impacted the community in a larger sense? It is much bigger than 2,000 because at our conference and in our other programs, all of our dialogue is very intergenerational. So yes, the issues that we tackle, they are particular to youth, but the people we invite come from all generations, right? We want to have our youth learn from our elders, but at the same time, we have our elders learning from our youth. I think that impact is very widely felt across the country, and I think it even reaches back home in the Philippines, where they're able to see us taking up space, going to Parliament for the 8th time in a row and more. And I think that impact is truly something that you can't necessarily quantify. I think it's the most invaluable thing.